What really happens after Wacken? Time and time again, we've seen South African bands win the Wacken metal battle, only to go to Germany, to one of the biggest stages in metal, and come back to South Africa like nothing ever happened. Surely Wacken is meant to be a life-changing experience for the bands involved. This is why I'll be sitting down with the organizers of the Wacken Metal Battle South Africa, who are going to be filling us in on why this is the case. A lot of us only follow the journey up until the point where the band goes on that German stage and represents South Africa as best as they can. Not a lot is documented about what happens thereafter. So the aim of this interview is to inform and fill in any gaps, not to stir or cause cuck. Let's keep it respectful. How's it going? You tuned into Sludge Underground. I'm Nasipi Zwani, the founder of Sludge Underground podcast. Today I've got Sash with me. We're going to be talking about all things Wacken, specifically what happens after, or rather what really happens after Wacken. It's a question that often comes up. There's obviously been numerous sort of, people that make content and so on. One of them being Keesh, who Sash mentioned to me when you were arranging this, who has a brilliant video out where she did a lot of research. She was interviewing, a lot of the bands that had already made it, all the way to the finals and all the way to Germany. There's also a document that's already out as well, which covers, most of the stuff that people tend to ask about. But obviously, information isn't always accessible to every single person, or even if it is, not everyone is going to, have the time or going to want to put in the efforts to sort of find that information out. So hopefully this video makes it easy for you. Hopefully it becomes a hub for any future questions as well that might come up. If you do want to supplement, do, as I say, check out Keish's interview or episode that she did, and also check out the documents. We're going to be attaching it in the description. But firstly, Sash, you are my guest today. How are you feeling?
Hey, Laka, it's a beautiful Sunday morning in Hate City. Thank you so much for agreeing to sit down and chat with me.
No, thank you for agreeing to pull through. So, what really happens after Wacken? We see the bands, they win their heat, and then they jet off to Germany and so on. They play the stage, everything is dope. We see them on the YouTube live. We're all happy they're playing. What happens after that?
I think bands get a big reality check about a lot of things. I think that, and several of the bands touched on it in Keish's video. Afterwards, you sit down, and it's quite a sobering, somber time of reflection for a band. The bands come back asking themselves a lot of questions like, am I willing to leave my stable job, my wife, my child, and live in a car for 30 to 60 days at a time and eat truck stop food? Am I willing to give up the privileges that I have in South Africa where, I've got promoters who are paying me to put on mega big shows? Or am I going to go and work really hard? And unfortunately, for a lot of them coming home, it's like, oh, okay, shit. Like, no one's going to see you play on a stage with 350 other bands also performing at that festival and be like, cool, here's everything you need to become a rock star. So, yeah, what happens straight afterwards is the band's on a high, and then they all kind of watch their stream, and then in the couple of days afterwards, there's a big reality check for a lot of people in the bands.
So the perception for me, what I used to think was, is there something in place where it's like the bands that get to go there and actually perform at the Wacken, the metal event in Germany, maybe some contract that comes with that, that basically guarantees that, okay, for the next year, you guys are going to be maybe signed, or you're going to have some sort of label or some backing of sorts to be like, yo, you guys have actually made it here. You won the competition. Let's make this a life-changing experience beyond you guys just playing the one show and then going back home. It seems more or less like that responsibility isn't Wacken's responsibility, but more like after the show is played, it's up to the band to make sure that, they basically continue on that momentum?
Yeah, so sure, there's a lot to that. What Wacken offers the bands is a slot at the festival, a slot on one of 350 time slots. So I think there's also like a lot of people don't understand what Wacken is versus the Wacken Metal Battle. The Wacken Metal Battle is a 2-day event that happens on the Wednesday and Thursday, daytime, from like, I think it's 11 or 12 a.m. until 3 or 4 p.m. And it is 30 bands from around the country, around the globe, who are all the best bands from their countries. And that's what it is. It's an opportunity to perform a very early small slot at the most incredible music festival in the world. And should you win or place in the top 5, there are some prizes available. So, there's like up to 5,000 euros. There's a lot of gear, equipment, and endorsements that you do get if you make the top 5. Some African bands have gone to Wacken and gotten a record deal. So what Wacken does is it gives you that stage and the privileges that come with that stage. So your VIP camping, your VIP artist access area, your dressing rooms, the best show that you are ever going to play in your life on the best stage with the best crew, and the whole incredible festival experience, seeing those other bands, getting to possibly maybe meet them in the backstage artist area. But what they do is, like, a lot of the bands get perks. I think every year all the guitarists in the band get like a little prize, like a little mini amp, and you get your catering and your drinks, so you get to experience the festival. What you can also do is the Metal Battle at Wacken does set up these opportunities for you to make appointments with various record labels, festival booking agents, touring agents, PR media, like producers from across the world, and you can book appointments with them on the 2 days of the Metal Battle. I think you book 20 or 30-minute slots. And yeah, a lot of the bands do go and do that, and you have your 20 minutes to pitch it to whoever's there. But again, there are 350 bands. And in the Metal Battle specifically, there are 29 other bands who are all the best bands from the regions that they come from. And you can be the best thrash metal band in Africa, but when you're in the Metal Battle, you're one of 10 of the best young and upcoming unsigned thrash metal bands in the world. So, yeah, those opportunities are there, but it's up to the band members to make it happen. There are very few countries that go past beyond, here is your slot at Wacken, because that's what a lot of other countries do. They're like, cool, we've had the battle, here's your slot, you're playing at this time, off you go. And there's no like funding to help them get there. There's no planning of the tickets, of the tour, of the accommodation, of the camping gear that you need, etc. It's just like, there's your slot, good luck with your visas. How are you going to get there? Up to you. Whereas I think we in Africa realize that African bands have a lot of challenges, and also we don't know what we don't know. So we really do try and help our team with that whole process of getting there, of setting up your camping, of advising you how to network. But that comes from like our team and the passion to grow it. From Wacken's side, there is your stage. There is an appointment with someone. If you want to do it, go ahead. I do think that what a lot of people don't know is that the Metal Battle Africa team specifically, like I said, tries to support our bands quite a bit. And the last sort of 4 years, we have offered tours to bands to maximize their opportunity whilst in Germany. Very few of them are able to take that opportunity. Facing the Gallows did in 2019. They were able to get onto 2 more shows with Ginger that, through the networking of our community. It was Turning Tricks who helped hook them up with that. And last year we were able to help Halva out with a show in Istanbul. But we're all connected. The global, like, kind of underground metal community. So we have Starb from Noisefix, who's offered to help bands book tours um, in Europe, but very few of them are like able to take off the leave, those extra 2 or 3 weeks to be able to go and do a tour. It costs a lot of money to be in Europe. And very few are willing to take the risk to put in that financial investment into this tour, in the hopes that you can make a back off merch and door deals, etc. I did mention that one band came back from Wacken with a record deal, and it was Facing the Gallows in 2019. They came back with a, I believe, pretty sweet record deal where they got like a cash advance that they used to shoot a music video that was released, and they were looking at getting booked onto a European tour. They had some festivals lined up. And then fucking 2020 happened, and the world went to shit for a while. But I know that year, I didn't go with Gallows that year, but Patrick Davidson from Metal for Africa did. And he said, like, little Jamesy worked hard. He hustled. He was out repping hard. Helvar last year packed an entire suitcase of merch because they realized how to get out there is to have your band logo on a bunch of people at a festival. And a lot of people don't have the knowledge, the perception, I don't want to say the insight, but the perception of what it does take. I really think that a lot of people just think that you're going to rock up, play a show, and it's 1998 and MTV is going to rock up and film a reality TV show about you or something. I don't know.
It seems like also one of the things that you mentioned is that there's just so many good bands out there that it may be difficult to sort of, get noticed amongst all of them. But on Wacken's side and the organizer's side, you guys provide the resources for all these bands to actually make it. It's ultimately up to them whether they are able to capitalize on them. Is this what you're saying?
To an extent, I mean, when you say resources, no, we're not going to give you 200,000 rand to hire a tour bus and gallivant across Europe. I mean, if we had it, we would. But we do have the connections. It's very twofold, and it's not necessarily that they're unwilling. A lot of people are unable to. Um, think about the timelines as well. You only know kind of 2 or 3 months before you're going to Germany, and now you've got to try and book these whole tours. And also, like, to form relationships and connections take time. I'll give you an example of a metal battle band who are not African, but I think that we've come to know and love in Africa is Nuno. They worked on their relationship with me for 2.5 years before they were able to book what for them is an international tour. I mean, I know it's to us, which sounds ironic, but it was their first international tour, and it took 2.5 years, and a lot of work and a lot of relationship maintaining and hustling and figuring out how can we make this possible. And yeah, again, I just think a lot of people think like you're going to play a show and some magic fairy is going to wave a wand and suddenly you're going to be Corey Taylor. You're not. If you think about a band like Whitechapel, they're playing at 2 o'clock on a Wacken stage and they've been going for 20 years. So your band that has been going for 5, 6, 7 years and run a heat and played one show, it's not what it takes to turn you into Whitechapel. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of patience and investment and sacrifice. Dolph will tell you about when he met his hero, I think from August Bones Red at Barkin last year, and the guy was telling us how he just had a baby. But here he is, not being home for 3 months, can't see his newborn baby because that's the job and that's the hustle. And I don't know how many of our bands realize that?
So one of the questions that came through here, and he did mention that he doesn't want to remain anonymous. So shout out to you, Mike. It's actually the first question that I sent through to you. He was asking, do you feel that because has historically sent no extreme metal bands to represent us at the finals in Germany, that it's hindered the view of the variation of metal we have to offer to the rest of the world? So this one is sort of shifting a bit from what we've just addressed, which is what happens after the Wacken battle. But what do you have to say about that as someone that is behind the organization as well?
I mean, I think it's a bit twofold. Is number one, you can't expect one band and one music festival to showcase to the entire world what African metal talent has to offer. It's a little bit unfair. Why do we rely on one international music festival to be the be all and end all of African metal? Why aren't we doing other things to ensure that the global community understands what African metal represents? I kind of feel like that's like a little bit of a loaded question. Man, South Africa likes what South Africa likes. There's nothing I can do to change that taste. And I think about like the bands who have won at Wacken, and you know, quite a lot of them, and I'm talking about the bands that have won in Germany. We don't really hear from those winning bands either. And these are the guys that got the €5,000 cash prize. I can think of very few bands that have gone on. At the moment, actually, funny enough, the band that I remember from, I think it was Denmark in 2016, they have been signed to a new booking agent and have been playing a lot of really cool festivals in Europe and circuits. It's been 10 years, and they started doing this last year. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't have the answer to what or how to ensure that South Africa is better represented globally. But I think that if we're relying on one music festival to make that happen, we have a problem.
Do you think that maybe the perception is that it's all down to you? Because the answer that you gave was that people in South Africa, people like what people like. So to me, that tells me that people prefer bands that aren't really on the extreme side of metal. And that's the reason why when it comes to the Wacken metal battle, no extreme bands have been sent. How much of that decision is down to the people, and how much of that decision is down to you guys as the organizers?
Man, I don't choose who goes to Wacken. So it's zero down to us. Like we have a jury. We select that jury from what we believe is a wide variety of music tastes. We select them based on their experience and wisdom. And we don't give them any boundaries. If we do, then why are we having a battle in the first place? So if we go to our jurors and say, okay, we want an extreme metal band, number one, good luck fucking defining extreme, because extreme is very different depending on who you talk to. Or simple things like, if we wanted to be the band from Angola to represent Africa, why are we having a battle in the first place? Why don't we just send the band from fucking Angola? Or why don't we just send the extreme metal band through? Why have a battle?
My name is Mike Taylor. I'm a graphic designer from Durban. I've been a fan of Sludge Underground since we both started coming up together in the alternative music scene. I jumped at the opportunity to help them with the merch design. I often do clean branding for people, so I thought this would be a cool opportunity to mix styles and have something that has a lot of grit yet is still modern looking. Sludge's approach has always been a mix of artists, different genres of music, and I really thought the streetwear apparel would lend well to their brand, and it inspired me to create something classic yet bold for them.
Let's look at something that you touched on in your earlier answer. About travel, the covering obviously some of the expense there, assisting and helping out bands. This is one of the questions that came through. There seems to be confusion among bands about what travel or accommodation is covered for winners. So can you clarify exactly what is guaranteed and what is conditional. Now, obviously, this is one of the ones that you did mention might be covered in the documents that we have in the description, but just lightly as something that's already there for people to sort of look over. What would you say to that question there?
Nothing is guaranteed. Absolutely nothing is guaranteed. There are very few countries that fund their bands to go to Wacken, as I mentioned. We try really hard. We have like a team of 3 or 4 people who try and get sponsorship and try and apply to embassies and foundations for funding. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We use the profits from the ticket sales to help the winning bands go to Wacken. Sometimes through our crowdfunding, like our Backer Buddy or whatever, we're able to pay for the band's full expenses. For Hulvar last year, we were able to pay their full flights, accommodation, their visas. We helped them with all the camping gear that they needed, so they were pretty covered. But for example, in 2023, when we sent middle grounds, we barely covered 3 plane tickets, never mind the accommodation and the camping gear and the etc. etc. So yeah, fucking expect nothing. There is a complete breakdown of what it would cost to go on tour to Germany in that like band guide and the about document, how we get our money, what we do with our money. It's all there. Please read it, guys.
The part here with the person asking about how much of that is guaranteed or conditional and so on, and how much of about the travel or accommodation is covered for winners. Is that also on there, or is it just literally the breakdown, like this is how much it will cost? Or is there something that also says, as the Wacken organizers, we're going to cover 50% of what is broken down here in the documents, and you as the band that are not going to cover 50%?
That's the thing is we don't. So are you a 3-piece band or are you a 6-piece band? Because that's the difference between 50,000 Rand and 100,000 Rand. Are we going to sell 800 tickets to the final? Because if we are, then we can cover 50%, but we don't know how many people are going to come to the finals. So that's why I say nothing is guaranteed. We will give you what we make, whatever the profit is. And it could be anywhere between 30,000 Rand, like it was for Middle Grounds in 2023, or it could be 150,000 Rand, like it was for Hulbar. It just depends on how well the battle is supported, how much money we have to fork out, how much we're able to raise from crowdfunding. I mean, last year we raised 100,000 Rand in the Backer Buddy campaign, and that went completely towards that winning band. So we can't tell you how much we can guarantee you. We don't know how much we'll make. We try really hard to assist as much as we can, but we can never guarantee essentially how many tickets we're going to go, how many people are going to donate to the crowdfunding campaign. So we kind of take it as expect fucking nothing and hope for the best.
Do you think there's also a perception where, because we've won, we should have expectations? Or do you feel like that is something that is actually, you guys actually tell the bands, like, hey, Oz, listen, you may have won, but like, don't expect anything, bro?
Yeah, so we do make that pretty clear in the band guide that we mail to every band once they do submit. It's in the document. And unfortunately, we see this a lot more outside of South Africa than within South Africa. And I think that's because of our exposure. But there is a lot of expectations that we're going to cover everything. And, we coach the band very, very well, all the finalist bands and the winning band. So they all are fully aware. But definitely coming in, and especially with the bands from the other countries, even just getting to the finals, they really expect that we're going to help pay to get them to Joburg for the finals. And in the last few years, we have gotten sponsors to help us do that, but it's also not guaranteed. So the Wacken Metal Battle is not making the Wacken Festival any money. No one is buying a ticket to Wacken to go see a metal battle band. So the opportunity, the experience, the value of being at that festival, the catering that you get backstage, the access that you get, the whole festival experience, that is your prize. That is being at Wacken. No one's paying to see you there, so I don't think it's fair for you to expect Wacken to be paying you.
Yeah, so you mentioned the funding, the funding and the band supports, which actually leads us perfectly into the question that was also asked by Anonymous here. Can you explain how funds raised through entry fees and sponsorships are allocated specifically? What percentage goes directly towards band support?
So, like, the battle does cost money to run. You have to book and pay for venues and sound engineers and staff to run the event and backline equipment and boosted posts and content and graphic designers. So the battle costs money. What we do is the heats that are raised from the countries outside of South Africa are given to the profit. So after the cost of like your venue hire, your sound, whatever is taken off, that profits should go to that band to help them get to the finals in Johannesburg, because we realize those countries struggle a lot more than what we do in South Africa. In South Africa, all the heats, all the profits, so after we've paid off everyone, all the staff, the photographers, the content creators, the venue hires, all of that profit goes into the fucking kitty to help send this band, the team actually, because it's not just the band, it is every country has to bring their judge and their promoter with them. So it's the team that goes through. 100% of that profit goes to that team. Sometimes we're a little bit lucky. If we've had a good year, there'll be a little bit left over, and we can use that towards planning for the next year's event. Very rare. In fact, it's only last year that happened. So yeah, to answer your question, it's 100% of the profit. So to say what percentage, I don't know, because it depends on how many heats we have, how much it costs us to host all the shows.
Yes, it's actually beautiful you mentioned operational costs there, because there is a question about that. How do you ensure that funds intended for artist development and participation are prioritized over operational or promotional costs?
Okay, ChatGPT questions. I don't know who said that funds were allocated. I'm a teacher. I can recognize ChatGPT, bro, like a highlighter. Yeah, I don't know who decided that there was supposed to be allocation for band development in the fund. We need to be able to pay for the battle to happen. When we start with a zero budget every year and we use Sash's funds to kickstart it and we try and recoup that back. So operations have to come first because, like you said, the battle costs money. And in order to have it, we have to pay for that. So it's again, we pay for the costs, and whatever we have left over goes towards that team getting to Germany.
Anonymous here is asking about transparency and accountability. Is there any public or independent oversight of the competition's finances or judging process?
The judging process is pretty simple. Like the bands submit their scores, their favorite band, second favorite, third favorite. First band gets 5 points, second band's 4, third band 3, whatever, and then it gets totaled up. And that can be available. Like if people want to ask, the judges all fill it in on a Google form so you can see it. You can see who voted where. So yeah, there's 100% transparency. You can ask me for that info. We don't really want to make a post about it and like share it and splash it because we're still dealing with artists who have feelings. But if you want that, you can have that. And with regards to the finances, like if you want to know, you can send me a message and I'll show you. Our team all knows we just finalized the budget for what 2026 will cost us. And the whole thing, with all 11 heats, flying the winners here to the finalists here from the other countries to the Johannesburg finals, plus going ahead through to Wacken. It's going to cost around 750,000 Rand. We're not going to make that off of the heats. That's if you really want to know. 750,000 Rand is how much it costs to run this battle from start to finish. And we don't make a quarter of that off of the ticket sales.
It's incredible that you guys are able to pull that off at a fraction of the budget. So when this person is asking, would you consider publishing clearer guidelines or breakdowns so bands know exactly what they're signing up for? What do you have to say to that?
So every single band that emailed the submission through was sent a copy of the band guide, which breaks down everything. And you will be surprised at how many just do not read it. So, it's funny. If you ask, for example, Rochelle, what she spends 90% of her time doing for the metal battle, it's redoing bands' logos so that they're white vectors, even though we have a whole fucking page in the guide of how to make sure your logo is okay. Man, I had people who told me, like, oh, they sent the band guide to someone. Clearly, they didn't read it. And I was like, cool, did you read it? And they were like, nah, it is literally emailed to the bands when they submit.
Do you think it might be worth, I don't know if the document itself is readily available, sort of like a constitution of sorts for anyone who might be interested to just access it online? Or is it specifically just like sent to bands only? Like if I needed information, could I go maybe on a website or wherever and find the document readily available?
Yeah, I think it's on our Linktree. We'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it's on our Linktree. And if not, you're going to link it in the description below. So, yeah.
Some bands feel the process lacks transparency, which creates mistrust, even if everything is above board. How do you respond to those concerns?
I think all we want to do with this metal battle is make African metal great, and we're trying our really best to do that. So, yeah, if you have questions, you want transparency, please feel free to holler. I'm always ready to explain why and how we do things the way we do. You might not always agree with me and my processes, but I can be damn sure that we have a good reason for why. And when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you'll understand. I really do believe in transparency. So if you hit up the comments, I'll definitely take my best to respond within 48 hours.
What steps do you take to ensure the competition is fair and that no band is advantaged or disadvantaged behind the scenes?
We have very clear guidelines to the judges. Every single judge across the whole continent gets the same fucking brief. And that is judge the best band on the night, the band that you think is going to represent us the best. Whatever that means for you is great. Don't talk about it with other people on the night. Just send through your numbers. So that's what we do. We try and make sure that we have experienced judges across different fields. We give all the bands the same opportunity, the same airtime, the same coverage on socials.
How do you guys pick your judges?
Based on their kind of level of experience and respect within the local music scene. So, people who work with bands a lot, other promoters like the guys from Ramvest, very experienced musicians who've gone on to like the guys from Belvedere or previous metal battle winners, content creators, journalists, people who are experienced and involved with the music scene.
What has happened to bands from other countries who have won the metal battle in Germany?
Some of them have broken up. Some of them have gotten record deals with booking agents. None of them that I know of are at a standard of what we would call, or what our perception of a successful band in South Africa is. None of them are Belvedere's just yet. I think in South Africa we have this perception that Belvedere are what we all strive to be. And none of the bands who have won the metal battle in Germany are doing what they're doing.
What responsibility must bands take themselves to capitalize on the opportunity?
Yeah, invest in yourselves. Be humble. And build on the relationships. It's all good to care and make chums at Wacken, but you have to put in that legwork afterwards to make that happen. You have to maintain relationships. You have to invest in your band as well. You have to invest time. You have to invest emotions. You have to invest finances. If you're going to Wacken, please spend 5,000 Rand printing fucking promotional materials. That's not a fucking flyer that someone's going to throw on the ground. so that people remember you.
What should a band expect from Wacken, and what should they not expect?
Expect to have the most incredible experience of your life with your band, to learn a lot, to be exposed to something that you've never seen before in your life. Don't expect to think that you're going to come home and be Corey Taylor and Slipknot.
Give us sort of a guideline in terms of what's happening on the Emalyth side of things and what we can also expect for the Wacken Metal Battle, because you guys are doing a lot right now.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll sleep when we're dead at the Emalyth camp. So we're kicking off the year on the 7th of Feb with Emalyth Fest. It's our annual 2-stage day fest at Sludge. It's going to be amazing. We have 15 sick bands from across the country. And then, Feb, we start kicking off with the heats. We're starting in your hometown, in KZN. And then we're going across the country. We're working on the Metal Battle February, March, April. By April, all the heats will be done. And Emalyth will be back in May with Mayhem. And then the finals and a couple of our annual shows that we do every year. We've got 4 or 5 big Emalyth events round up towards the latter end of the year, though. We might also have some fucking cool tours lined up, so keep your eyes peeled. It's gonna be fun.
Hey, shout out, Sash. I really just want to thank firstly you for coming through to the show and basically, sitting on that hot seat, answering some of the questions that have been, sent through. I also want to thank those that did send questions. Really appreciate it, and it's always good just to have these conversations and get as much information as we possibly can. I think sometimes people might have this perception that it's about stirring or causing drama, because there's already so much drama in there, but at the end of the day, people just want information. And I hope that this video has sort of served as that valuable source of information. As I said in the beginning, something that Sash mentioned, Keesh's video that you can go check out, which covers extensively, the things that go on in terms of, the winners, people that have won Wacken in the past. Sash mentioned the documents that we have linked in the description. It's readily available for you. And then obviously, if there are any questions that remain, or if you feel like from the answers that Sash gave, you still need a bit more clarity, the platform is open in the comments. For people who want to reach out to you personally, where can they find you?
Yeah, Instagram DMs at Sashquita, at emalyth.events, emalyth.events@gmail.com.
Epic. I'm at Zwane031 on all platforms if you want to link up. And then, Sludge Underground at Sludge Underground on Instagram and basically all platforms, guys. All the links are in the description. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys next time.